Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined with Bryan Leonard and Preston, the sports cheetah. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball arbitraging and how you guys attack it, because this is a great situation where you can get free money if you're sharp and beat the books to some numbers. Bryan, I'm going to start with you. How do you attack betting baseball and arbitraging?
Well, the first thing I look at is I have in the back of my mind where I think the line's going to be. I also have a nice service that I use that provides lines from their viewpoint, statistically wise. And so then I get their lines and I look at them and I say, okay, well, this one I agree and this one I don't. And if I agree on it, I want to get on it as soon as possible, because if I'm agreeing on it, going up against the lines makers in the short term, I'm going to have a bigger advantage than going up against millions of bettors around the world long term. So I try to set myself up, and then at the end I decide if I'm going to buy it back or keep it myself. And Cheetah and I were just talking about that in the green room about how just for himself today he's setting himself up some pretty good numbers.
All right, and Preston, just for some guys that maybe don't understand arbitraging, give us the 101 basics on what arbitraging is, and then tell us how you attack it.
Sure. The idea is that you bet one side with the intention of making profit by betting the other side. And so people probably are more familiar with the term middle, and it isn't that because the prices vary and there is no middle in a baseball game. It's just a winner or a loser. But the example for today, I bet the Orioles yesterday. I got some plus 112, 111, 110, and I liked them as a true position. I'm holding for the amount that I'd like, but I bet about 14 times that amount on that with the intention of betting the Blue Jays plus money today. And sure enough, I woke up around 7 and the Blue Jays were plus 110. And so I was able to bet back, for almost all of the amount from yesterday, 13/14 of it. And, sure enough, now, I'm free rolling, it's like $600 or $700 on each side. I don't care who wins. I got plus 110 more or less on both teams. And so that's what arbitrage is, or scalping or whatever. And some guys like to maybe let the entire arbitrage ride on one team, so you still have a rooting interest on a win or loss. For me, in these cases, I still liked Baltimore, so I left some of my initial bet there. But for the rest of it, I just wanted to chop it up and take the free roll. And so to kind of get at more details, I think one thing you have to be able to do is obviously be able to kind of read the market or have a model that's going to be predictive and right more often than not. But two, you really have to have a lot of outs. And it helps living here now in Vegas versus before for me. If you're trying to arbitrage, the day of, it's also going to be tougher. So you need to be able to do it overnight and at offshores and maybe places in Vegas or credit shops, whatever it is, a combination to get the best number possible, because every cent is going to add up and take or add to your bottom line at the end of the day when you're arbitraging. So that's kind of my first, I guess, tip would be, if you're trying to do this and you think you're confident, you're beating numbers on overnights and stuff, well, get more outs and really maximize how you can profit from it and kind of go from there.
Bryan, asking you, with the key to this is having the outs, obviously, and attacking those overnights. And the situation with the overnights is, even though that we are here in Vegas, the limits are not the same as they are on, game day. You find yourself having to run to several different books, and it's not like the old days. Once one place gets hit, the screen moves, a lot of places move on air. So, how do you combat that problem that you have in Vegas with the smaller limits?
Well, you're able to get in whatever you can get in at that point. If you're playing 500,000, whatever they let you have on the overnights, that's not going to change the lines for the offshores. So the offshores basically run the sports gambling. Wherever the offshores go, Vegas usually lags behind. So eventually it'll come back around that way. And, Cheetah and I both are really involved in fantasy baseball. And when you're involved in fantasy baseball, the hot pitchers, the pitchers that nobody talks about. And with the season starting now, when a line comes out on a guy, you say, well, this is one of the guys everybody in the league wanted, so he's going to be taking a lot of money. And the people that are betting know the same thing. So when they come out with the McCullers, as they did yesterday, you knew McCullers were going to take money. There's certain guys that this year's gotten talked up a lot, certain guys that nobody's talked about, and so you're able to get on that side ahead of time, and that's what we try to do.
And for the layman, obviously you guys set your own numbers. So you have a projection of where the market's going to be. For somebody that's trying to do this that maybe doesn't have as much knowledge as you guys have with the pitchers and where the number should be and where you think it's going to be, remember that these overnight lines come out before the night games are played. They're out and you can start betting these games. If you see a game that's going 13, 14, 15 innings, and that team's traveling to another site the next day, one of those two teams, the public the next day is going to bet against that team. You can get ahead of the market right away and jump in and play just knowing this is going to be a team that the public's going to go against. So if I get it now at a sweeter number, tomorrow I can come back the other way when it gets inflated, when the public gets involved. Be sharp, watch what's going on, and you can find some arbitrages that way on your own, not having a lot of knowledge.
Just keep in mind, a lot of times, if a team is traveling that day, they'll send out the starting pitcher already to that stadium. So it's not like he's been there for the whole night. He's well rested. But yeah, you're right about the players playing the game. Obviously, they're pretty fresh right now. I mean, with the season just starting, but as the season goes on, people get banged up.
You see it in the NBA. If a team goes overtime and they're playing the next night, the overnight line might have been -5, but because they were involved in an overtime game, it's down to 3.5 the next day because people want to just blindly jump in against them. Those are the kind of things where you can get ahead of the market knowing what the climate's going to be.
Right.
All right, good stuff, guys. Hey, and don't forget, each and every weekend at WagerTalk, you can get the Weekend All Access package. Guys, it's the best deal going. You get all of the plays from your favorite capper Thursday through Sunday for just $59. That includes all plays, baseball, basketball, any special sports that are going on. You get it. Whatever they have, it's yours. And if they have a big 5% play over the weekend, that is included as well. It's a great way to get all of the plays and save yourself money. Check it out each and every week. The Weekend All Access at WagerTalk.com. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.